All these elements have been generated in web languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so they should be quite accessible to you if you are already working on web page development. As indicated, it is not necessary to make changes in the code to create an app, but access to it will allow you to multiply the possibilities offered by the builder. Why don't we start looking at how it works? As you know, King of App has developed dozens of elements and functionalities that allow users to build their own applications by adding and configuring those modules and services they need to build their app. By default, these elements are sufficient to provide usability and navigation, although it is true that sometimes their customization may be limited for certain types of users. One of the objectives the company sets itself when developing an element is the possibility of allowing any user to modify it and adapt it to their needs if they enter the code. This is why we say that much of our content is based on free software. What does this mean? In short, King of App gives you access to the structure and set of documents that shape it through the code so that you can modify it and adapt it to your needs. We are in the builder, in the configuration of a random app. Let's go in and configure this multi-language module and scroll up to there. Surely, in your comings and goings through the builder, you have seen repeatedly the box that indicates Advanced Configuration. You may even have already visited it. Let's see how it's structured. In Advanced Configuration, you can access all the code that makes up the module and modify it as you wish, if you have the necessary knowledge. Inside, you will find a series of files and folders. In this course, we will not talk about all the documents because it is not intended to provide training at the developer level. Since for that we have other courses in the Academy. Even so, it is interesting that you know the functionality of the main files. Index is the main document and includes, in a general way, the content structure of the module without styles, except when they have been included here without resorting to the style document. Everything is composed in HTML that uses the framework of AngularJS to show content in a dynamic way. You can add an HTML element as long as you do it inside the main div tag, a header or an iframe, for example. Everything will be combined with the elements that were already part of the module in the original way. Any HTML tagging will work in this folder fine. You can also add JavaScript with the label script, but the correct thing is to do it in the controller.js using AngularJS. It is not recommended to do it in index if we have the document controller. Another important file is styles.html. This document contains all the style of the module: colors, typographies, sizes, margins, positions. It is written in CSS format and will allow to change from here the properties of all the HTML elements. For example, we're going to make the module we are configuring show its background of a specific color. Inside module lang we write background, network, or we can modify the margin with margin top 100px. In general, you will be able to modify and include any CSS property. Other files perform more specific actions, from installing dependencies or modifying logic like connecting modules to each other. For example, Locale allows you to modify or add features related to language variables. As you can see, the English languages for the United States and Spanish for Spain are included by default. To be able to modify it, you need to know how JSON works. This module has variables for each element of the module, with its values for each available language. There are different files available and we would need a specific course to learn how to use them. Since this is a more generic application creation course, we will leave here everything related to editing modules at code level so that you can develop your knowledge in other courses available at the Academy. In order for you to touch the code yourself and see how a change is made within your app, we'll leave you a piece of code that you'll have to copy and paste into the style tag of the group list menu, as we'll see below. Let's go to the modules window of our Wild Animals app and mark as main the group list menu, in which we list the access to the different animals profiles. Once we see it in the visualizer window, we see that the titles are pasted to the left. Here we have an arrow that indicates to continue with this button to access the module to which each animal transports. We also see that the set of buttons are compressed at the top of the screen. What we propose now is to modify the way in which the contents are seen, making those arrows disappear, centering the text and enlarging the menu so that it is seen in full screen. Let's start editing the menu module and go down to Advanced Configuration. Since the menu module works and contains the necessary elements, we will not modify the index document related to the structure of the content. Let's go to styles.html. The objective of this chapter is not that you learn to play code, but that you see how it affects a change in it. In the description of the video below, we have left you a fragment of CSS so you can copy it there and paste it into this window. Copy the text you have there, select and replace all the styles.html content with the one we left you. We save and see the changes. As you can see, the content of the menu has been restructured and the elements show differently. If you have knowledge of CSS, I encourage you to see which elements have been changed and even to make your own adjustments, both in this menu module and in others available in your app.